Chicken jockey.
We will fight to break free. I know that we can succeed. All it takes is you and me to persevere today. I know. So let's gather all our things and set out on adventures. I'm sure we'll make it through our journey. Begins, my friend. It's time to get moving. Come on, get moving, the stars away. There's no time left to lose. We're gonna take it, the time is right. Our destiny beyond the stars. I believe in a rising dawn, in a day bright as the sun. Never bend until the end, till our paradise begun. Till tomorrow is here, we are the hope drawing near. Oh, congregate, arise to bring us to a brighter day. We'll hoist our flag soaring high, beacon of light in the sky. With Captain Hill, because we fight to dash the tears away. We hail, oh, congregate. Forever forward, we push on through, find a way to bring us peace. To save this world, we know and love. Till the deed is done, it's me and you. We believe we can win, it's true. No matter what lies ahead, we push on, ever unyielding. Every day we journey on. Now tomorrow is here, the hope is finally near. Oh, congregate, arrived and won the day for everyone. We'll hoist our flag soaring high, a beacon among the stars. With Captain Yumiko, she brought our hope back home today. We hail, oh, congregate. Till tomorrow is here, we are the hope drawing near. Oh, congregate, arise to bring us to a brighter day. We'll hoist our flag soaring high, beacon of light in the sky. With Captain Yumiko, we fight to dash the tears away. We hail, oh, congregate.
Now if the timer works. I literally had to do scuff. I had to cause scuff to get the timer to work. Anyway. Anyways, hello everyone and welcome back to the Okami Brigade. Pleasure to have you guys back here. I hope you've been staying safe on those missions out there, and if you haven't, please make your way down to the clinic where we've got thighs for days, ass cheeks for day. Whether you want to be sat on to be recovered, or if you want to be crushed between some thighs, or maybe you just need yourself a handy J. Either way, we've got what it takes to cure your illnesses and heal you back up to 100%. So make your way down to the Okami Brigade Clinic today. Is that 7TV? Yes, it is. Anyways, guys, before we get back into Expedition 33, we got a couple things to talk about. First off, thank you to Sainted. I made sure... Yes, that crash. Thank you to Sainted for the Streamlets Redeem for adding a card. I know I've got a couple of cards I still got to make, but Sainted has added in a 10-minute bikini mode card. So if you actually do pull the card, which I don't think I can show on Twitch because I think it's considered against Twitch TOS. So if you pull that card, right, you're gonna have to go and you'll be able to use it and now be able to... Well, fuck, someone actually pulled it. Holy shit, I didn't expect someone to actually pull it right off the bat. But yes, basically it switches me into bikini mode. So now you get yourself this very, very lovely outfit here whenever you want, or 10 minutes. The fact that Sainted, you probably, you crafted it, didn't you? Also, how did you lose your right hand, Scarlet? That doesn't even make sense. What? How? Freaking how? Anyways, though, yeah, no, like legit, Sainted is the one you can thank for, for this redeem right here. So you get to stare at Opie all day long. And on top of that, I can make myself shiny to make it look like I've been out in the sun. Also, okay, you're gonna find this holy mother of God. Mother of God. I'm watching Warudo constantly increase in how much freaking RAM it's using at the moment. Okay. Jesus Christ. It's at 11.5 gigs of RAM. It's at 11.5 gigs of RAM. Holy shit. I literally... Hang on, we gotta restart Warudo here real quick. Give me a second. Yeah, no, Warudo... Okay, so while we're restarting this, you're gonna be hearing a lovely thing about this, right? Warudo, I was, like, literally looking into this to see if Warudo has, like, a memory leak or anything like that, right? And, apparently, it just does, right? Apparently, according to the creators of Warudo, or at least in their Discord server, right? It's just, yeah, sometimes there's a memory leak, because that's just what VTuber has sometimes. So, just deal with it. That's right. No big deal, right? You can deal with a little bit of memory leak, right? Sometimes it just happens, because you're just loading so much stuff. I'm like, no, I should not be sitting here watching my model watching you know, the computer. This is why I use live TD. Well, no, the problem is that Warudo, for whatever reason, it has like some sort of weird memory leak that sometimes happens, right? I don't know why it happens. I don't know how it happens. All I know is that sometimes Warudo just decides to be freaking stupid as hell with this stuff, and then it starts using up memory. Memory can also happen from unstable RAM, XMP. Well, no, that's the thing, internet. The thing is, the GPU driver instability, that hasn't happened since that one stream, right? And even then, if the GPU crashed, it would have been because of this. And Warudo, right? Warudo's the only thing that has a memory leak, right? This is nothing to do with anything with the GPU, has nothing to do with the RAM's profile, right? This is 110% a Warudo problem, right? Because if it wasn't if it wasn't just a Wardo problem, you would be seeing this issue happen more often across other programs. So, whatever's going on with Wardo and its usage of memory, what the fuck? Really? Hang on. Really? Why? What? I rebooted Wardo. Hang on. I rebooted Wardo and it's using nearly 12 gigs of RAM, which doesn't make any kind of sense in the least of why it would be doing so. I checked the integrity of the files, and today's gonna be one of those. I guess it's gonna be one of those days because I don't even know what's going on with Wardo 2. Yeah, like I just noticed it literally. Hang on. Maybe if I come over here to character. Hang on. That caused a little bit of a fix, but not much. Yeah, no, I have no idea why Wardo is being so finicky. It's been, I don't know, like literally, right? Literally most, like the last couple of days, it's been very specifically. So I have my old setup. I have it on the laptop, but that would be maxing out the streaming computer's settings. So give me a moment here. You know what? You guys are gonna be sitting here. You're gonna get to see a little bit of behind the scenes stuff in the meantime. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna come over here. We're gonna go over to our properties. We're gonna go ahead to updates, installed files. Let's verify the integrity of the files because this doesn't make sense, right? This should not, in any situation, 1 terabyte of RAM, oh my god. Like, in any circumstance, this should not be happening with Wardo, where it takes up so much freaking memory, right? That it causes this many issues. The fact that it is tells me that there is something seriously wrong with Wardo for it to be running into these kind of issues. Did you forget the soul? That's why we can't see it? No, it's because I'm sitting here trying to verify the integrities of the software that I use for streaming, because the model is not playing nice right now, or the software, I should say, is not playing nice. Yeah, it's a critical RAM leak. It seems to sometimes happen. Like, it was happening towards the end of stream yesterday. I know my RAM is fine, right? I know the RAM is fine, okay? Okay, so it's validated all of the files. So it should be... Hello there, Checkpoke. How you doing? Well, what a way to start off a scuff stream. Agile. Come with me and you'll see. What the fuck? Yeah, like legit. I think that there is something really awkward going on. It's okay, we can hear your beautiful voice. I mean, okay, fair, valid. There is one thing I could technically do that might help Wardo a little bit. Actually, I think I could think of one thing that might help it just a tiny bit, right? Because if it's having an issue that I think it's having, right? We can actually fix this. We might be able to fix this in a different way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close out Wardo. And we're going to move it from from one hard drive to a different one. Because admittedly it is on an old SATA hard drive that's meant for servers, right? Oh. What? Okay, I guess since it already is there, we're gonna move it over onto the U drive. Surely Warudo won't throw a fit over that, right? If only you could ask someone. I mean, I would.
Drogaro asked me, what is Warudo, the video game? I can't get it to run. It seems buggy. Also, does it have any weird-intrusive anti-cheat that spies on me to the CCCCP like Tenzin does? Ah, a query about technology from a space marine's perspective. Alas, I am not familiar with this Warudo video game, as our primary focus is the defense of the Imperium from the Xenos heretics and the forces of chaos. However, remember, always to remain vigilant and protect your data privacy. Perhaps consult the Adeptus Mechanicus, for they are well versed in the ways of the machine. Stay vigilant, and remember, the Emperor protects...
Are you proud of yourself, Krogaro? Are you proud of yourself for that one? But no, what I'm doing right now, if you're curious, right, is we're moving it over onto a different hard drive, because it could be that the hard drive it's on is just not fast enough for it, and maybe Warudo, they did some sort of weird black magic that made it to where it needs a faster hard drive? Question mark? I don't know. It's weird, though. Because if they did that, right, without telling anyone, because a lot of games nowadays, a lot of software nowadays does require faster read and write speeds on your system, right? So if that's what they did do, you know, which, oh, they're, okay, yeah. If that's what they did do, I wouldn't be entirely surprised, okay? Because why would they make a piece of software that decides to throw it if it's true memory leak expanding Windows swap page can't help? I mean, to be fair, Windows has been doing a lot of updates recently that has just been breaking a lot of things effectively. So, for all I know, they could have just broken some very fundamental features in all of this, right? Alright. Let's see how Warudo is handling the new hard drive. You know, because maybe, just maybe, it's actually going to be okay with being on a faster hard drive. And, ooh, hang on. Oh. You know, it would help. Oh god, it's acting like a new install. Holy shit. It's acting like a whole new install. Holy shit. Okay. Oh. Hang on. Oh. Okay. It's loaded up. It is now using roughly about the same amount of RAM that it needs to, that it would normally use. So in theory, things should be fine, more or less at this point, right? In theory. So hopefully, we shouldn't be seeing any more of those weird issues. In theory, now that it's over there, I'm keeping track of the RAM usage. Interesting. Oh, wow. Hang on. So, I'm watching the RAM, right? And over time, Warudo is literally like, okay, you can't really see it. Let me show you what I'm talking about here, right? Literally, over time, it is just slowly increasing its usage of the RAM.
New here? Welcome to the madness. Buckle up, it's gonna be a wild ride, no refunds.
Why? No, my computer doesn't need a coffee, but that's so weird to see it doing that, because it's constantly climbing over time. There's no reason for it to be constantly going up. Warudo has never done this before? You had a friend that had the same issue, but with VR chat? Really? That's so interesting, right? Because I'm watching the RAM usage. as it's climbing up slowly, because I'm seeing it's now at 3.5 gigs of RAM, of freaking, you know, memory, and it's still climbing. It was a Windows related issue. What issue was Windows having? Out of curiosity. Like, did like Windows do something in particular to fuck with things? Because that's like the only thing I could think of that could possibly be going on. Memory management issues. Oh God. How would you even fix that? Like, how would you fix a Windows memory management issue? Because it seems only isolated to Warudo. It's not having any issues with, like, my web browser or anything else. So I've got to wonder if you fix it, try switching to Linux. I mean, I can't really switch to Linux. There's too many things I rely on that is Windows. You had to reinstall? You had to reinstall Windows. Are you fucking kidding me? You're joking, right? Because, I mean, I'm watching this thing. It's already sitting at... Oh. Yeah, now it's, like, sitting at almost 4 gigs of... Hang on. Let's see if we can figure out why Windows... Hang on. Windows... Memory... Management... Issues. Because I'm curious... Let's see. Yeah, because that's so weird. If it's literally... Because there's no reason that Windows should only have that issue. Also, by the way... I know I missed it, but very itchy balls. Thank you so much for joining the brigade. Hope you find the missions and the madness you're looking for. How you do today? Let's rest the best beta test. Yeah, exactly. Because that's the thing, right? Is we're sitting here almost at 5 gigs on Warudo at this point. And I'm trying to figure out, like... Hang on. Windows, memory... Hang on, memory... Issues... Instability, crashes, slow performance, Windows, memory. Let's see here. Because if it's only with one piece of software, right? The fact that it's only one piece of software, the only thing I could think of that I could possibly do, right? Is to go to details, maybe, and see if we can force it to... Hang on, because if we can force it to use less... Let's see what happens if I do force it into efficiency mode. That did nothing. Browsers can take up a lot of memory, but it's not browser, right? It's not a browser issue? It seems like there's some sort of other issue that's causing it to eat up a lot more RAM than is necessary, right? Can I downgrade Warudo? Ooh. That's a good question. If I can downgrade it, maybe. Let's see. Updates. Installed files. I doubt it. I actually doubt that we can downgrade the version. Seeing as Steam, like, because, yeah, Steam literally forces, right? It forces you to stay up to date with things. What'd you miss? Could you try a different version like VNyan? I don't have the model set up for VNyan. What does Task Manager say? Like, about what? Like, right now we're at 6.5 gigs of RAM in the time since we started this whole thing. Warudo is the only thing causing an issue right now. So, only thing I could think of... Because the only thing I could think of, right? Because I'm, like, looking at all this stuff. I barely have anything running in here.
Krogaro asked me, please eat the brain of a heretical tech priest, so you get all his memories and pretend you are a tech priest. Or ask this to an Adeptus Custodes. Does the game Warudo have any common play issues? What about annoying Windows? 10 updates that can screw up your install and refuse to give you the correct DLL files. Maybe a driver issue. Is there any known errors or bugs for it right now? Brother Krogaro, while I lack the capacity to consume the brains of heretical tech priests and absorb their knowledge, I can offer some insight. Regarding the game, Warudo, one must consult the Adeptus Mechanicus,
Hang on.
or individuals with expertise in tech to address possible common play issues. Annoying updates, DLL file errors, and driver issues can plague any operating system. Consult your local tech support or forums for solutions. Stay vigilant.
I'm gonna try something here real quick that may make it work or it may not, right? I'm gonna try running it in compatibility mode, okay? We're gonna try running it in compatibility mode. If we can get it running in compatibility mode, that might let it play nice. Ish? We're gonna see. We're gonna see how it actually works. Yo, Hexalin! Welcome to the Scuff Raiders! Oh, geez.
Oh no, Hexalin's here? Time to initiate DEFCON 1. Someone get the snacks. We're in for a wild ride.
Shit. Wait a second, hang on. Oh? Oh my god, I think we may have actually fixed it. I think we might have actually fixed it. Hang on. Hang on. Are you fucking serious? If this is actually what fixed the damn thing... I'm looking at the usage in the memory real quick, right? I just want to make sure that whatever's going on in the memory, right, is being handled properly first. Okay. And it looks like... maybe not. Wait. No. Could it just be the way that I have my model toggles work? It could just be the way my... no, that doesn't make sense. Because right now, yeah, it's still climbing. Right? Because what I could do, right, is I could come up to my character. And let's see here, let's see here. Expressions. Let's see, because this is... weird that it's all... okay, hang on. If I exit all of the expressions, is it still gonna climb? Wait a second, hang on. It looks like it's holding at 3.1 gigs of RAM. So if I toggle all of this, right? Interesting. Okay, hang on. So it's the way I toggle things. It's the way I toggle things. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Also, hi, Jibo. How you doing? So if it's the way I toggle things, then... Okay. I have a potential plan, right? Oh, God. Trying to fix that is gonna be difficult. Yeah, because the second I toggle that on, the memory usage looks like it's going up-ish. So then if I toggle that... Yeah, so basically what's happening, right, is the way I've got my model toggles working, right? I know you're seeing like a weird scuffed version of my model, right? Is the way I toggle the parts on my model must be causing a memory leak because it keeps using memory while that's happening. So I think what we can do to fix this, right? Because we can fix this right now, more or less. So you're gonna get to see some scuff before we get into any kind of game, right? It's time for us to take a trip down Unity Lane. We are taking a trip down Unity Lane to see if we can fix this. That's one hot look, even though it's scuffed. I mean, hey, if you're gonna see scuffed look, you know, it's not the worst thing ever. But I am keeping an eye on the memory usage in Warudo just to make sure that we don't have too many issues. Because what I'll have to effectively do, right, is all I gotta do is just toggle one thing on the textures. Or on the materials, I should say, right? That's it. If this works, right?
New here? Welcome to the madness. Buckle up, it's gonna be a wild ride. No refunds.
The DLL injection works. Ayo. Hang on. So let's see. Also, by the way, Leo Wolf Bowie, thank you so much for joining the brigade. Thank you so much for being here during this whole weird scuff. How you doing today? Right now, I'm gonna be looking. I have on one monitor the memory usage for Warudo. So it could also, you know what else it could be, right? Ah, that is true. It could be that the shaders that I'm using could also be causing some issues with Warudo. Potentially-ish? I wouldn't think it would cause issues. Because I'm just looking at Warudo's usage. Like, it is staying stable at around 3.3 gigs of RAM. And I don't want to start off I don't want to try and get into the game until this whole issue here is fixed, right? Because if this issue persists, that's gonna, you know, cause issues. And if it causes issues, we're gonna be restarting the model every couple of minutes, right? That's the only thing I could think of that could potentially fix the issues. And also crazy, I don't know why it's targeting you. Because other than that, like, God, for as much as I like Warudo, it does seem to have its special issues. For as much as I like Warudo, the fact that it's having as many issues as they have. What threads? Okay, System Informer. Actually, I mean, we could also do that real quick, too. Hang on. Because the System Informer, you know, Let's see. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Let's see, because honestly, anything that could tell us what's going on, right, might actually provide useful, if that makes sense. Okay, so we got System Informer going on here. Let's see. So here's Wardo. So then with Wardo, if I were to go and just hit a toggle here, right? All of a sudden, if I look at this, yeah, like if I'm looking at this right now, right? Okay, that's interesting. That is so interesting here because what I'm noticing is I see the CPU usage, I see the private bytes as Wardo increases its usage, right? Right, I see the tabs up there, right? And what's interesting is if you notice, Wardo's just all of a sudden taking up 11 gigs of private bytes for no apparent reason. So there's got to be some reason why toggling these toggles on is causing issues, right? Because nothing here is showing. Hang on. That is a lot of columns. I don't even know what I'm freaking looking at. Holy shit. Oh. Holy shit. Okay. Hang on. I don't know if you see it. If you see it, guys. If you see it, right? If you look at this right now, it has 1.4 million page faults happening right now. That is an insane amount of page faults going on with Wardo. It's basically crashing. But why is it crashing though? Even though it's not even doing anything, it's effectively crashing. Which doesn't make sense. Yeah, but what loop is it stuck in? That would be the... Okay, hang on. Do you think that uninstalling Wardo, right? Do you think uninstalling Wardo and reinstalling it would be the solution? Because I'm getting the feeling that if that's what we did, right, that might actually fix things. But before we do that, I'm gonna take the streaming assets folder, right? I'm gonna take the streaming assets folder and I'm gonna copy it since that's where all of my stuff is, right? Because realistically, Wardo, I wonder what even caused it to have a corrupted file in the first place. Because that is weird. Because I'm looking at like the web views stuff. It's got like page faults for days. And days and days and days. Like, that is a certain kind of level of special, right? Was there a crash report? No. Like, I could go into, like, Envtuber and see if there's any issues on the event viewer end of things. No, there's no repair tool, sadly. Let's see here. Da-da-da. Yeah, okay. So literally, there's an application crashing event, right? What's crashing is the web viewer, right, in Warudo. So, what the web viewer thing is in Warudo is it is the tool, right, that allows you to see, like, the chat box on my starting soon screen. No, it's not hard crashing. It seems like it's an alternate thing that Warudo has, if that makes sense. So, if I were to get rid of the BRB chat, for example, since the BRB chat, the starting soon, the countdown, and so basically these little bits right here, right? These are the things that cause issues. So, let me just remove the
New
BRB
recruit alert.
chat.
Welcome to the Okami Brigade. Buckle up, it's gonna be a
The
wild ride.
countdown and the starting soon text, right? Because effectively what that should do at that point, right? Because what we're doing right now is we're just effectively removing any reference, right, to anything in the software that would reference the web viewer, right? So we're going to save this as Yoru Vexa test scene. And I'm going to, why I'm doing that is that should, in theory, limit the amount of things that are being called upon, right? And just like that. Oh, wow. Okay, so we're at 4 gigs of memory, but on the flip side, that did remove a decent chunk of issues. But what we're gonna do, right, is we're still gonna close out Warudo. We're gonna uninstall it. Have had issues with the April with the latest you're probably running the latest unstable. Interesting. Well, it's doing an update right now, right? It's doing an update right now. So in theory, that update that it's doing, since it's selecting a stable version, right? Because before we do anything else, right, I'm going to make sure that this is all working. Though, Warudo booted up a lot faster that time. Warudo actually booted up really fast, so maybe we don't have to fix anything. Because maybe, right? Maybe, okay, I'm looking at it right now. We're at 2.7 gigs of RAM, which is about normal for Warudo, right? So let's just see what happens when... Okay, it's climbing up a little bit. We haven't done anything yet. Now, let's see what happens when I toggle on this toggle here. Let's see. So now it's climbing up a little bit. So it is still climbing. Yeah, it's still climbing. So that means that there's some other issue happening at the moment. And Warudo's already up to about 1 million page faults at this current moment, right? So it has something to do with the way it toggles things. Has something to do with the way that the software does not play nice. So what we're going to do is we're going to uninstall Warudo, right? And we're going to see if a fresh install is what's required. Because if it's just as simple as a fresh install, which it could be, that might help, in theory. Because if that's not the case, then the next thing I would need to do is see if it has something to do with the way I toggle things, if that makes sense. I can't roll. That's the thing, Burnout. I can't roll back. That's the problem, right? It's the fact that the model itself does not have a, or the software does not have a rollback feature. So the only thing I could think of is that maybe it's just having issues in general. Because I don't think it shouldn't be like this complicated to fix. It shouldn't be having this many issues unless Windows... It's also possible that Windows did something else to have a negative impact on Warudo, to have a negative impact on what's going on. The only question I would have is, why would Warudo be having this issue now, if that makes sense, right? Okay. So, it's been reinstalled. It's validating itself. Okay. Oh, it's downloading the workshop content. Gotcha. Okay. Fingers crossed. Holy shit, this is gonna take a hot minute. That's 2 gigs of workshop data. Yeah, Windows Update can break a lot of things. Like, if I had the ability to just switch over to a Linux distro, I would do that. But the problem is that using a VTuber model on stream is really difficult in a Linux-based system, especially with a lot of the features that I use are plugins, right, that aren't available on Linux. And sure, I could use stuff like Proton and Wine to emulate the Windows version of OBS, which could work in theory, but I don't think it would. So in the meantime, what I'm going to do here, right, while we're waiting for that in particular to do its download stuff, since that seems like it's going to take a hot minute, is I'm going to basically take all of these lovely shaders here for the most part, right? And we're going to basically go messing around a little bit. We're going to make it... Well, actually, no, you know what I'm going to do here, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a small test, okay? What this test is going to do is we're going to see if we can isolate the issue with what's going on. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to take the hair textures very specifically, right? And then I'm going to go and just by default put in a fade transparency, right? Or at least I would hope that would work, but no, it's actually making me look bald. Fuck. Let's see here. Transparency. Da-da-da-da-da. Okay, yeah, that's because of the goggles basically doing the whole transparency thing too. And that is not happy with that. Okay, let's see if we can, yeah, no, it's not happy with me doing that with the way the goggles are. Because the goggles have a whole different shader going on that's having its fun little thing going on. So hang on, let me just unlock this and just turn it transparent. Because that in theory, right? That in theory should be enough to maybe make that shader work. Cause let's see here. Okay, that is actually what we wanted. Okay, cool. So now that we can just make those transparent, what we're going to do is we're going to set up the character mod. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Then we're going to come over here. We're going to build this mod right here for later. And so Wardo is still updating stuff, so we still don't have the ability to do anything, right? Well, right, Satan. That's why I'm making sure that what I'm doing here is effectively messing around with the models, right? I'm making sure that what I'm doing is going to keep effectively everything, for the most part, safe and tucked away in spots that I need it to be in. That way we shouldn't see too many issues when copying and pasting things, because if it's an issue with the way I toggle things on and off, we will see that pretty damn quickly, right? We'll actually see that very, 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 very quickly. Because otherwise, the only issue I could think of that would cause this would be the shader itself. So we're having to effectively... We're basically playing a whole trial and error thing. Because if it ends up still leaking regardless, right? Then that would effectively mean that the issue itself is Wardo or Windows at that point, right? There's no either or, effectively. That's where the issue would come. And then let's see, hang on. What was that about Windows? Microsoft started hard locking Windows 10 updates. So if you're not past like build version 1909, you're fucked because the updater won't update. Because it retires the Windows 10 build version of 2HXX. Yeah. Okay, but looks like it almost is done. So in theory, now that we've got this launched and we've got it updated, in theory, everything should more or less be a fresh install at this point, right? And with a fresh install, it should in theory mean no issues, right? That's at least what I'm hoping is the case. Okay. So it still kept all of the stuff that I normally would use. Got it. Okay, cool. Cool. So, given that's the case... Oh, shit. What I need to now do is just go over into the Steam library. Common. Since we moved things around a little bit. Assets, characters. Okay. Now that we've done that, right? We are using roughly the same amount of regular memory that we would normally use. So it's at 2.8 gigs of memory, right? But now what I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead and load up the test version that we just brought in from the other side, right? And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to make a new expression that's for the hair, right? And that hair, we have it on layer 6, right? So we're going to make layer 6. We're going to call this the tomboy hair toggle, right? So, first off, what we're going to do is we're going to enter into this expression here. We're going to go ahead and we're going to target material property, right? We're effectively, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be messing with the different hairs, right? Oh shit, hang on. Yeah, that should be effectively what we're messing with for the most part. Oh, ooh, interesting. Okay, hang on. So the stable version removed some features that I had, right? Yeah, it removed features. Interesting. Because what that means, right, is that the version I was on allowed for different things. Yeah, because, yeah, the beta thing, right? We need to just update it to the latest version. Because what we had, right? What we had going on is we had textures being swapped around. What features are you losing? Basically, the way that I did the Goth Yoru and, like, the different things with some of the different toggles, like the slime version of Yoru. We're losing out on the slime and the Goth Yoru. And we're losing out on some very specific things that allow me to mess with very specific types of textures, right? So, what I'm going to go in and why I'm updating it back to what I was on, right, is to make sure that I'm able to effectively do what I was already doing, but better, basically. Because that's the only thing I can realistically do. It basically depreciated almost everything for the most part. Yeah, what Krogaro said. God, the fact that we're freaking troubleshooting. We've been at troubleshooting for like a freaking hour now. Holy shit. Wardo, you motherfucker. That download page, I know. I know. Because what we're going to do is we're not even going to mess with the clothing pieces, right? What we're going to do is we're just going to go over here, go to expressions. Now, we're going to come over here. We're going to call this tomboy hair. We're going to make sure it's on layer 6. And then we're going to enter into this expression. We're going to mess with the materials on the hair. And so, in theory, right? See, because we should have something here. So I'm looking for transparency. And which version are we on? We're on complete 2. No, we want to be on the test model. That's the model we want to be on because this model right here should be, in theory, the model that gives us what we want. Because we want to mess around with... Because effectively what we want to mess with is we want to mess with the transparency of the texture, right? Because if we can mess with the transparency... Yeah, there we go. Hang on. If we mess with the transparency, in theory, we do that enough in and everything, that should more or less, for the most part, right, should give us exactly what I'm looking for. And it should not force us to actually worry about any kind of, teleporting, like any kind of extra memory usage. And if that's the case, that will actually fix a lot, if you can believe it, right? Okay, because let's see here. Gonna do this. Oh, that was the wrong one. So we're gonna make sure we're just gonna... I really need to be better about naming the hair, if I'm being honest. Okay, so that was that one. There's that. There we go. Okay, so we got that hair there. Then the last thing we need to do is take another piece of hair. Where is it? there's that. And then... Fuck. Wrong hair. There we go. Okay. So in theory, if my theory is correct, right? If my theory is actually correct on this, what this should tell me, right, is that the issue itself is the toggling that I would normally do. So let's say I put this back on like this, right? And then we just toggle, say, the outfit like this. Okay. So that right there is exactly what I thought it was happening, right? The memory leak is happening because of that, but then if I just use the thing to change the transparency of the texture, nothing happens, right? So, what this tells me about my toggles, right? What this tells me about my toggles is that the issue is the way I was toggling on my textures, the way I was toggling on stuff on my model, that's what was causing the issue, right? Because the memory is not climbing so long as long as the actual toggles themselves are just turning off the textures themselves, right? So, given that's the case, given that we now know what we're dealing with, right? We can fix this. We can actually fix this right now. Hi, Felix. How you doing? And I'm glad to hear Frosty guided you here. How you doing, though? Okay, so literally, given that I can actually work with this, right? All we gotta do is do a couple of things, right? Granted, I'm gonna have... It's a good thing I'm actually doing this right now anyways. Because what I'm gonna do is we're just gonna come over here, go into this, go into default. Fade transparency. Oh, God. Gotcha. Maybe don't do that to the skin. Got it. So, we'll keep the body textures as is. But everything else effectively needs to be the fade transparency for the most part, right? Yeah, because we got the face shade. Eyeball transparency, no. Okay, because I want to make sure I'm looking at everything properly here. Yeah, okay, cool. So, we'll go to RealTune version 5, default, fade transparency. Why is that on? Why? There. Okay. With that being said, now that all of the textures here are more or less set up as we need them to be, right? This is gonna be a pretty simple fix now. Because now I just need to update the mod for this, for Warudo, and then we're just gonna build the mod. Now, all of the textures are effectively set up for transparency, minus the body, right? For other memory leak enjoyers. Well, here's the thing, right? The way I'm doing my stuff, admittedly, is a little bit different, right? Than what other people do. And everything. So, given the issue with that, right? So, your short stack test 2, right? So, given that's what the issue actually is, right? all we gotta do is, in theory, right? In theory, if I have all of my stuff making sense to me, right? And it should. It should. What I'm going to do now is we're going to come over here to Warudo. I'm going to make sure we're going to save our current project, right? We're going to save the scene as is. Except, I need to do one more thing to save it, right? We're going to make sure that we got short stack test 2 set up here. I want to make sure the animation is set as default. And then we're going to save the scene. We're going to close out of Warudo, right? Yeah, effectively. So we're closing out of Warudo now, right? The reason we're doing this is so that we can effectively fix the toggles in real time. So what you're going to be seeing me do is you're going to see effectively what I do on a daily basis with making toggles, right? So now, because you saw me set up the hair, right? That was the first step. A full tutorial, just like if you get your memory leak, build an X, a Y, or Warudo. Well, here's the thing, right? The thing is before I was toggling on, before Warudo gave the features to actually access more things, right? I was using features that Warudo didn't inherently have yet, right? To get things to work. So, what we're going to start off with here is we're just going to get the tomboy hair expression running. And yeah, not even using a little bit more memory at all. So we're looking good now, right? So that's the first toggle. Now I'm going to also take that same thing. I wish I could copy and paste these things, admittedly, so that this would actually work. So now I'm going to make sure we got a hair down. Okay, so let's see. We're going to call it tomboy. Okay, fuck you, Warudo. T-O-M boy hair down, right? This is going to be our first toggle.
New recruit in the Okami Brigade. Welcome to the chaos. Buckle up, it's a wild ride.
Because given the way that this works, I want to work on each piece of the outfit personally. And also, by the way, Immortal, thank you so much for joining the brigade. Hope you find the missions in the mask you're looking for. How you do today, bro? Yeah, so the reason why we're doing it like this is so that we can get each part working on its own, right? That is the quintessential piece of what needs to effectively happen, right? Because the more of our toggles that we can get running, the better. So the less work we have to do later on, right? So then we're going to have this right here. Opacity down to 0, but needs to be this hair. There we go. Yeah, because if you notice the way everything's working now, it seems like it's playing fairly... Actually, it's playing really nicely with me right now. Like, way nicer than I would have expected it to play, sadly. Which, you know, the fact that this is what it's taking is me fixing this scuff on stream. There we go. There we go. Okay. So... then also what I'm going to do to make sure that these toggles work properly, right? Because we basically want the toggles to happen instantly because that fade looks kind of ugly, if that makes sense, right? There. So now when we toggle between these two here, we should be more or less fine. There we go. Okay, so now looking at my memory usage, we're at 2.7 gigs of RAM. Swapping over, we are staying at 2.7 gigs of RAM. So we are literally swapping between two different expressions here, and it's not causing any issues at all, right? None. Okay? So... given that that's the case, now the next thing we need to do, right? Because I'm not going to worry too much about anything else. So what I'm going to also come over here and do is we want to come over here to our toggles. Now that we know what's going on, you should make some coffee. Yes, you probably totally should. Okay, so now what I need to do is I need to scroll through all of this, figure out where is my... Okay, these are all the expressions. Because what we want to do is I want to toggle the main hair, right? So that's going to be the tomboy hair. And there we go. So there's that. And then we're going to have our alt hair. Which, actually, no, we don't want that one. Main hair, main pants, main top, alt top. Because I need to look at what's over here on my stream deck now, right? Let's see. So this was on hair down. Okay. Let's see, where is that? Where is that? That's derp, face shade, cry, shocked, gotcha. Okay, so there's the hair down toggle. Here we go. So now that should just be that and then tomboy here. So now, in theory, right? Yeah, now that's just toggling between the two things that we just set up, right? So what that means is with that toggle in mind, I can now basically come over here and get rid of the toggles up here, which should be... I mean, I'm going to drag these up just so I have an idea of what I'm dealing with here. So tomboy hair, gloves off, da-da-da-da-da. There we go. Get that up there. Actually, where did I put the hair toggles? Oh, there it is. Down. Wow, I had them way down here? Really? I mean, I'm not going to complain, mind you, but Jesus. Okay, so we can get rid of 2 of these toggles right off the bat, right? That's the thing, right? I don't know if I think toggling the different outfit pieces, like specifically the slime toggle and the toggle for, I think it's very specifically the slime toggle that's causing an issue. And it's the toggle for the, for Goth Yoru. So I'm gonna have to update all of this stuff anyways. But what I can at least do, right? What I can at least do with these toggles here now that I know what's going on effectively, I can just come in here and we're going to just fix up the different outfit pieces, right? So we're just going to go ahead and toggle that off, right? And we're just going to put on main... Okay, so that's the main top. Oh, okay, hang on. Gotcha. Ooh. This is going to be a little risky. Got it. Okay. So what we're going to do here, right? We need this main top to just be a very specific set of materials, right? So right now, in theory, we should be fine. Okay, so outfit 102. That one is... Wait, what was that one? Okay, so that is the Gotcha. Okay, I see what that is. So, we don't want to worry about those pieces there. That's not the part we need to worry about. We need to worry very specifically about the parts that matter. And so... just putting the hair on. Let's see here. I will eventually figure it out. Actually, it might be helpful for me to have Unity open at the same time for this, right? So the bikini one is fine, thank the Lord. Yes, bikini should be fine, right? I'm basically having seen it, just to give you guys an idea what's happening, right? We're effectively updating all of this stuff in real time, right? That's our first issue, is we have to effectively update all of our textures in real time, because it's just not... it's not playing nice, if that makes sense, right? That's where the issue is. So, what I'm doing right now is I'm going to be going back and forth between Unity so that I know exactly what outfit pieces I'm needing to mess with. Let's see, so we're needing to look for bodysuit as the texture up here. Let's see, bodysuit, there we go. So that just turned off that, so that should be good enough for now. Then I need to turn off the bikini's opacity, right? So now we got our red top back. Look at that! Look at that! We've already got ourselves our freaking, we've got ourselves most of one of our outfits already fixed up and running, right? So this is now working. This is actually working now, and it's working properly. Now we just got to do that again. Now we just got to do this, and we're going to have to do this in a little bit more of a safe environment with this, if that makes sense, right? Because now that we know what we're messing with, right? We know we want to keep on... so now what I need to look for is I need to look for the gym... Oh. Okay, guys. I am now coming from my streaming computer. We have a, technical difficulty. Um, give me a second. Oh, shit. Yeah. Do you know what that is? I don't know what that is.
What were you doing on that screen?
I was working on, stuff with Warudo, but the computer completely froze and crashed.
There's a process that's freezing and it's not crashing correctly.
So I need to basically hard restart the computer effectively.
I've
Everything.
seen this before.
Yeah, because I was dealing with a memory leak and I've been trying to fix things on stream.
That might make sense um that might make sense.
Yeah.
Is there a way to downgrade water though?
No. I don't even know what caused the issue in the first place. That's why I'm going to open up the BIOS.
I see what you're doing now.
Yeah, the problem is I don't even have, I can't even see chat. I'm going to have to pull up chat here for a second.
Were you streaming?
Yeah,
Oh shit.
that's why I have the double, that's why the dual PC setup is set up the way it is, right?
Uh-huh.
Because we've been having issues specifically with Warudo and nothing else. Well, I couldn't even open up the BIOS even if I wanted to. That was,
Computer completely down.
well, I want to see. I'm going to go into Event Viewer here, right? To see what happened. Yeah, that was a fatal crash. Like, wow. Uh,
Oh wow.
Fatal hardware error occurred. A record describing the condition is contained in the data section of this event.
Um, open up your browser.
Oh, yeah, let's open up the web browser here real quick.
You copy the event ID and the source. And look up the error.
Yep, that's the first thing I'm going to do here because I want to see what the fuck happened. Okay, let's see. So we had a,
Judging by your reaction, this is the first time this has happened. To this bad.
yeah, a little bit. Yeah, no, the event ID is not telling me anything. Yeah, the event ID is not saying anything. No. No, this is
What are you finding?
nothing other than just
Go
event
on
ID
ChatGPT.
1. Event ID 1 indicates a fatal hardware error has occurred but does not specify the exact component causing the issue.
Go on ChatGPT real quick.
Well, I mean, that's the only data it's giving, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I guess I can do that real quick.
Because you can use the search function. And then boom.
Hardware miscommunication. Doesn't tell me anything. So an event data section. Let's see. Oh, yeah, there's nothing here in the, because it says to look at the details in the event data section. The problem is I don't see any event data section, but also just looking at it, it's saying that it could have been anything from a failing hard drive, SSD. It could have been an issue with the BIOS needing to be updated potentially. It could be an issue with the RAM modules. It could have been a CPU issue, but it doesn't show anything about that. Um yeah, no, like there's nothing that I can see that would actually cause any kind of issue. That's the problem, right? So we're effectively dealing with a system crash that just happened with no with nothing. So what I could say now is be like, okay,
This is
the
what happened. This is what I was doing. This is what was happening. That's basic tech response.
doesn't show any data of use, and
What we got.
so what it's saying is that since only one screen got garbled, the system locked up and the Wii logger event ID happened with no useful metadata. It could have been a GPU or PCIe related hardware fault. A single screen failure usually isolates the issue to the display output chain, meaning the GPU or the specific output port potentially had a critical failure. with no detailed dump means that the system couldn't even finish processing the hardware failure. The component caused an unhandled exception at a low level, often GPU, CPU, RAM, or PCIe bus. The hard reset was required, indicating a total freeze at the hardware or driver level, not a crashable error. Step 1. Check for GPU driver corruption using like display driver uninstaller in safe mode to fully remove your GPU drivers. Then reinstall the official drivers. Check Windows Event Viewer application log for any accompanying live kernel event or video DXG, MM, or display errors that around the same timestamp. Let's see here. Do we have anything of interest around that? We don't actually have anything around that. Interesting. Because the system error happened at
Who are you talking to?
6:21. I mean, the stream's still going, right? So looking at this right now, guys, at 6:21 is when the crash happened. And that shows there. So if I go to application, I know you guys can't see it at the moment, but if I look at 6:21, the only thing I see here is services starting up and nothing else. There is actually one error from around the same time. And that's a MIDI device unable to unlock the BMIDI DLL driver. Suggests a process or service lost access to DLL, likely part of a virtual MIDI audio system like a Go XLR, Loop MIDI, or DAW. Happening right before or during a full system hang implies the system was already in the middle of a crash or failure and the driver failed to gracefully release resources. So effectively, while the problem could be a GPU hardware fault, since it was just the garbled screen on one monitor, if the corrupted screen is on a display port, but HDMI is fine or vice versa, one port might be dying. If it's a PCIe instability or power fluctuation, if you're using a Go XLR audio interfaces or multiple USB MIDI devices, some motherboards choke under combined PCIe and USB lane pressure. This could be caused by BIOS bugs, undervolted PSU, or improper PCIe power delivery to the GPU. Driver or resource contention. Rare, but if the Go XLR or your MIDI stack focuses deep into the system via ASIO or WASAIPI in audio engines, an IRQ conflict or thread contention might trip hardware level failure. Combine that with the GPU load of streaming and gaming, you've got a cocktail for a Wii then. What to try next? Stress test the GPU alone, run Furmark or OCCT GPU test, window at first and not full screen. Then slowly add monitors or USB devices. Try reseating the GPU. If your PSU is over 5-year-old or borderline spec, try swapping in a better one. Unplug unnecessary USB audio MIDI gear during the testing to isolate whether they're part of the power instability. Check BIOS setting. Disable any fast boot or PCIe spread spectrum settings. Ensure PCIe is set to auto or Gen 3, not Gen 4 unless required. Update to the latest motherboard BIOS if possible. So in other words, what it sounds like is happening, right, is that there was a chance that some combination of audio drivers in conjunction with everything was causing a memory leak, which in turn caused this crash. And so I think for the sake of safety, and I'm pretty sure Tessa back here would agree, probably should try and troubleshoot this now and end the stream.
Um, Let me read over everything again.
Okay.
You've
All right, I am moving. Because I would need to put in like a freaking USB to do the BIOS update manually because it doesn't have the motherboard doesn't have the ability to just do an auto update with an exe, sadly.
you do have a lot of crap open.
I know, but that's never been an issue.
No, because you got 32 gigs of
Yeah.
RAM.
But like yes, like literally we were watching Wardo, earlier climb up steadily in RAM usage when it's never done that before. It got up to 11 gigs within 5 minutes, which
Why is it saying there's only 20 gigs available?
I don't know.
It should be 32
Well, there's 11 gigs being used.
out of 32 up here.
Yeah, 11.9, 12 gigs of RAM out of 32 gigs would leave you with about 20 gigs of RAM. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should probably end it now and go through the troubleshooting
All right.
because you're gonna have to turn off stream to go through this.
I mean,
And there's no guarantee that another crash won't happen.
right, unless we're putting it under stress, basically.
I mean, open up Waterdo real quick just so that I could see what's going on.
Okay. I'll open up Ordo real quick for you. I'm going to come over here to the processes. Because Wardo on its own, it only uses about 2.5 gigs of RAM normally, like 2.5 to 2.7, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Halo, no, we have not figured out the issue yet. We had a hard system crash. I mean, worst case scenario. Because someone in chat was also saying that apparently one of their friends had a similar issue with VR chat, and they had to completely reinstall Windows.
I hope it's not that bad.
I hope it's not that bad. I really hope it's not that bad. Because that would be a major duty problem, right? Okay. So right now it's using a normal amount of RAM, right?
Yeah.
So let's just say I decided to toggle on. Oh wait, right. I gotta do this real quick. So what was happening before the crash? Hang on. Give it a second. Is we literally had toggled on our. We did one of these toggles, and now look at the RAM usage over here.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Go to performance tab. What the fuck? That's like 6 extra gigs.
And that's the thing.
Normally it would use like what, 4 gigs at most?
At most, yeah, but if you notice, it's constantly climbing up. This was after doing a fresh install on Wardo. This was after doing A reset, the thing we found.
Oh wow, we are at 3 gigs.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Normally, I've known Waterdo to be 1.5 to 2 gigs, most 2.5 at like absolute most, depending on what you're doing.
hmm
But right now, it's literally climbing, and we're about hitting. Yep, we are going up to 3.2 now.
And now if I stop that toggle particular, it stops going up.
What's the toggle?
It's the toggle that puts on my stuff. And what I was doing before all of that,
Yeah, because all your crap is together.
so what I was doing before that is I was updating the toggles on stream like this. And if you notice, the memory usage doesn't go up.
Yeah. So what
So
was the issue?
the issue is I basically have to make it to where I'm not toggling object parts off, but just toggling on the specific pieces of the hair, right?
Yeah, but what
What the
about your
tech basically
shirts?
that's what I was working on when it crashed. The only thing I could possibly think of that could have caused the crash potentially would be, well, no, because it was still having that issue either way. I transferred Wardo over onto the NVMe, so maybe the NVMe was the thing that had a hard crash, but there's no operating system on the NVMe, so that wouldn't have caused the crash either, right?
No, there's no
So
reason for it to, unless it needs dependencies. But I didn't know the Waterdo needed dependencies
I don't think it does. That's why I'm saying, like,
because it's a what, a C++ container?
yeah, more or less, right? And that was the thing is we
It's not
basically
like it needs registry prompts.
no. And so effectively we were getting Wardo, we were fixing up the toggles, right? Yeah, I wouldn't think it's the NVMe. If anything, what I could do is I do know there is an update for the BIOS, so I could try updating the BIOS and everything, and then sussing things out one by one, because I could also reseat the RAM, but that's gonna require a little extra, right?
Yes.
So I think what I'm gonna do, at least for now, is since I gotta figure out these issues, and these issues may be way too big for what we're dealing with right now, is to end the stream here, get in a call on like on my phone and Discord and like talk with you guys as we try to figure out this stuff and see if we can figure out what the actual issue was in the first place. All right? So and unfortunately, the command to go to the Discord is not going to be up and running right now since we don't have the software open that actually makes the command work. So I'm going to have to go and get the invite link from Discord real quick. And we are going to figure this out momentarily. God, I am so sorry about this, guys. I did not expect this to happen today. Uh, but but here's a link to the Discord. Make sure you guys join that. I'll be in there talking with you guys, seeing if we can figure it out. Hopefully it's not the RAM. Hopefully it's not the RAM because it is only isolated to Wardo. All right. Yeah. I will see you guys.